Welcome to a special edition Ask Flora segment. This week, I am interviewing a powerhouse multi-million-dollar earning entrepreneur. A little bit about her before I introduce her. She is a self-help author, an artist, a hippie who has also evolved into an entrepreneur and a philanthropist. She's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar a year company. She does all this while working only a few hours a week, even as her business doubles and triples in size each and every year. She is the founder of the amazing Biz and Life Academy, and she also coaches tens of thousands of women to create their own incredible lives and businesses, including crystal healers, celebrities, coaches, best-selling authors, award-winning singers, fitness experts, yoga teachers, and multiple six-figure entrepreneurs. It is my esteemed honor and pleasure to interview and introduce you to Leonie Dawson. Well, it is my pleasure today to welcome the fabulous Leonie Dawson to our Ask Flora segment this week. Hi, Leonie.
Hello, Flora. This is so fun, and I'm so excited that we get to talk on video for once. Because usually we're just like typey to each other.
Yep, on Periscope and Facebook, and oh my gosh. So, you are a
person.
Well, I was going to say you are a money-making machine. You are a product diva, and I'm absolutely floored. For as long as that I have followed you and watched you and over the years become friends with you, I'm just amazed at how creative you are and how just truly remarkable you are with everything that you do in your life and in your business. And the fact that the past several years, that it's not been easy as far as with challenging pregnancies and everything like that. And I'm a simplification coach, and even sometimes when I've seen what you're going through, I'm like, God, you can't simplify that. You just really have to go through it and experience it, which is huge. And I think that's what a lot of us really love about you and your work is that no matter what you do, you produce these fabulous offerings that help people get through those challenging times and help people get through the muck and the stuck and the, And so these workbooks that we're going to talk about today are life-changing. I know they've changed my life, they've changed my business, and it's almost shocking how much they've changed it. So why don't you tell us a little story on how these workbooks came to life?
Sure. And well, first, thank you. It's very kind words. And I think sometimes I forget what I do because what I create is primarily for me. And, it's an act of healing for me first and foremost. And it's the thing I love to do. And people always ask, you've been through a really rough few years since I started having babies. It's just been like, wow, that's an adventure. But it's kind of always been like every day when I get to turn up to work, work has been my savior. Like the fact that I get to go away, to run away for an hour or two and stop being a mum and not think about the illness I was going through with my second pregnancy or any of the other things that were happening in my life. I got to just go create, and that's just been a real blessing. And I don't think I ever want to forget that. And it's always been that way in my life anyway. It's like it's okay as long as I get to go to the page and write or go to the page and make art. Then it all makes sense. And in fact, even when, so after I had hyperemesis gravidarum with my second pregnancy, I was still kind of holding on to it like a big scar that I kept picking at. And it was over a year later. And a friend said to me, who has now ended up becoming our general manager, Grant, he said, yes, this is still something that's profoundly affecting you. It's like you have to tell the story of it to every person you meet. Why don't you make art about it instead? And I did, and so I went and wrote the Harper Mrs. Gravadarum zine, and it was hugely healing for me, and I'm so proud of it. And once I'd written it, it was like, oh, that's it, that's my work done now. And and then like that enough was healing for me. But then I also get emails from women. I'm totally going to cry.
Okay.
I get emails from women who read that book even now, and emails from women who are struggling profoundly with whether it's hyperemesis gravidarum or something else happening in their life, and they're considering having an abortion, and they read that book and they think, okay, Leonie got stuck through it. I can hold the pace, you know. And there's even been emails from women who have had hyperemesis gravidarum. It is a life-threatening illness and have had to need a therapeutic termination. 15% of women who have that condition do. And they read that book and they message me and say, you're the first person who actually understands that was actually needed, because fuck me, it was like I was gunning for a termination, you know, like I was like, this has to happen. And I can't even, and I know women get the condition worse than me, so I 100% fully open-heartedly understand. So it's just like wherever I can share my story and honestly and as lovingly as I can, then it just feels like miracles all around. And the workbooks fits completely into that story. 7 years ago, I realized that I really needed that goals were really actually very important. And I know that we've all heard like, oh yes, we need to have goals in our life, but so much of it is very masculine and really boring, kind of, you know, very black and white and lines and like it's not how my brain works. And so I had started setting goals for myself, but it was at the end of a year, and I was thinking about the next year ahead, and I thought, what should I do so I can make goals like for every area of my life and business over the next year? You know what? I'm going to write myself. I'm just going to hand paint a whole bunch of pages that I can then illustrate and draw in and do that and make a pretty book.
Nice.
That's so nice for me to like fill out and feels really inspiring and encouraging and all that kind of stuff. So it was over the space of a few days, and I hand painted it all, and it was about 40 pages long, and I got to it and I was like, oh, you know what? I think other people kind of might like this as well, and I'll just scan it in and I'll upload it, and if like 10 people want to buy it, like that would be amazing. That would just blow my mind. And as soon as I put it up, like it went fucking crazy.
I love it.
And I think like at the time, so this is 2010, when there wasn't much stuff online anyway. And there definitely wasn't anything in this field that even mentioned goals in that kind of way. And even now, like, you know, I buy anything that's out there just to see like how we compare, and there still isn't anything like the Biz and Life Goals workbooks out there. There's nothing as thorough. There's nothing that's like this kind of system that takes you through. There's nothing that has that like history of creating success for every person who uses it. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of what we've created, and the royal we, what I created 7 years ago, and I now have a big team, and this last 2 months, we've sold over $1 million worth of books. I think we've had over 250,000 people use the workbooks now. Like, it's amazing and totally not what I was expecting, but there we are. It's been a magical, magical story. And I still use the workbooks for myself. Like, first and foremost, I'm like, shut up, everyone. I have to go through my workbooks. Like,
That's awesome. Well, one of the things that I really love about your workbook, so I also have a workbook, if you will. It's called The Year in Reverse, and it's something I actually learned from my dad as a kid. And he was a beekeeper with my mom, and in February, I saw him making a list of stuff for the Land of Milk and Honey, which was their beekeeping booth at the fair that was in like late July or mid-August. And I'm going, what? It's February. Why are you making a list now? And he's like, well, I need to figure out what our end goal is and then work our way backwards. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. As a kid, I was like, that's awesome. You know, and it just kind of stuck with me. And so I use my method. But the thing that I love about yours that I use in tandem is that your workbooks are like a journey. It brings us through the previous year. And my favorite part is where you put your hand on the circle and you're like, oh, you know. That's like the perfect, and it's everybody that I speak with that gets this book, it's the same thing. It's like this journey. It's kind of epic too, because you realize, holy shit, I got a lot of stuff done last year. And you realized what you thought you wanted to do wasn't really important to you. And those really important things are the things that actually came to manifest and those things that you actually did. But it's just so cool to be able to review the year before and then have that little moving on ceremony. And then you start to move through the journey with a clean slate and a fresh mind, because that's something too that, like, you know, most of the traditional planners, it's just January 1st, boom, you're done. It doesn't bring you through that journey of the last year, because I really think, as I'm sure you do, that in order to move forward, you have to reflect on what you know, where you've been, what you've done, and what it's meant to you, and how you can take that to move forward in life. And so, you know, you were talking about your challenges with pregnancy and moving on, but not everybody that uses your workbooks have had that experience, and not everybody is an entrepreneur. And I know that you started, I think, with just the life workbooks, correct? Yeah, I've been using them for 4 years, and I get both because I'm an entrepreneur. But who do you find is your normal, natural demographic for this workbook?
chicks, definitely chicks. We do have like a growing number of blokes who use it as well, and they usually use it in tandem with their wives, and it's very sweet. So we definitely have like the life and the business kind of, we divide them up into separate books as well, because we used to have them as printed books, just like one edition. But we really wanted to honor the fact that a lot of people have, we have a lot of teenagers that use them.
That's awesome.
And a lot of students and a lot of women who have jobs or who are tending to their families. They don't need like to look after that business section. So we do have a lot of people who use just the life books for life stuff. But if you're in business, I would really make sure that you use, I would say make sure you use the life and the business, because there's no point in just doing the business one. Like you have to have a good life and you have to take care of yourself. Otherwise it's pointless.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the thing that I notice with my clients is when they're an entrepreneur, so many times they neglect their personal life. And I'm like, oh, honey, put the brakes on that. You have got to put yourself first. And I have one of the first things I have them do is set business hours. Boom. Obviously, yes, most of us work from home, so yes, they can be flexible. But give yourself permission to put it in a certain time frame. One of the things I love about your workbooks is that for the business section, you talk practical stuff. I mean, I teach people a lot about business. I've got several classes about it, but one of the things that I've noticed is missing from a lot of other planners and a lot of other courses is they don't really look at the foundational pieces. And that's why I love your workbook so much for the businesses, because it looks at those foundational pieces and the back end. So many times people don't teach the back end, and you teach it kind of in a roundabout way by having it in the planner. So it gets people thinking about the back end. It gets people thinking about the numbers, the social media, the team, and everything else, where most don't. They totally avoid that section, and it's so needed. And without that, people flounder. They really do.
Totally. And that's why we added like the systems checklist as well. So you like go through and you like look at all of your stuff, like your legal, your financial, your web systems, everything, and make sure that you, even if if you don't have a system in place, you realize, oh, I am supposed to have a system in place.
Like, oh yeah, shit, maybe I should start that.
About that.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it's, I guess for me, like my experience as well is like, I haven't just like come out of the park of just going, I am a business coach, I teach business. Like, no, my experience is hard fucking one. Like I've had to learn this, and I'm not a like particularly naturally business minded person. Like I'm definitely more of like a hippie, creative, spiritual. Those were my things.
Yeah.
And it was about 8 years ago. No, it must be 9 years ago now. When I set myself the goal of earning $30,000 in the next year from my passions so that I could leave my cubicle job. And I couldn't work out a way to make it happen. I was like, well, that seems impossible. And I realized in that minute that other people who were succeeding in business knew something that I didn't know. And what's more importantly, that if they knew it, I could learn it.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know that. I wasn't born knowing that, so I'm not going to know that. Like, that's fucking stupid. It's a really stupid attitude to have, because that's what keeps you stupid. Yes. And so like, every step of the way, like, trust me, like, you know, I'm now CEO of a $2 million a year company, and we just had a team meeting to like look back at the last year with my team, and I'm like, guys, I just want to say, first and foremost, I apologize because I don't know how to be the CEO of a $2 million a year company. Like, I am learning this as we go. So, like, I'm very sorry for the places where I like fall short, but this is the journey of every business person. Yes. Like it's just like parenting. You learn as you're traveling, like on the skin of your ass, and you're like, whoa, okay. Then so like adopt an attitude of always learning and going, you know what, I'll just go learn what I need to know because I'm not sure what to do in this situation.
Oh my God, I love that. Well, you know, that's so true. It's like so many people I see stay stuck in their business or even in their life, and they think, well, I've been there, done that, I know this, but I'm miserable. And I'm like, so do something about it. You know? Yeah, and I love how your workbooks gently nudge you along. You're like, come on, let's go. But it's in a way that's fun. Now, I am very black and white with my organization. And so I have to admit, your workbooks are a little bit much as far as visually, but it gets me out of my comfort zone, which I love. And seriously, I mean, sometimes I'll look at it and I feel that resistance because I know I'm going to break through something. I know it. I know I'm going to, and that many times, oh my God, not many, all the time. Anytime I've had a breakthrough, I've always felt that, like, you know what I mean? It's like this resistance of, I don't need to do that, or, oh, fuck it. Oh my God, it's too big. No, I'm not going to. And it's just excuses. It's just ego trying to keep you stuck. And so I love that it's just bold and bright. And I really had to sit with it, you know, this year, because when I got the package, I felt overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, they're so big. I'm like, shit. I'm like, no. And I was feeling ego. I'm not kidding. I was feeling ego going, oh my God. And I was like, okay. What's the real issue here? It's not how big, right? It's like, okay. I'm like, what's the real issue here? Why is this bothering me that they look so big? I'm like, well, they're thicker paper. Okay, so, but I thumbed through it. I'm just like, I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to read through it. So I read through it and I felt myself moving past that stuck point and moving past that ego. And then I realized I am a very black and white person. And sometimes it's hard for me to get into that creative sense. All my products I create for myself and release to my people. So I absolutely get where you are and how you birth things to the world. Literally, it's a birthing. But this was something that, like, I really had to sit with it and say, why am I feeling such resistance? And I had to honor that I am black and white. and that doing this workbook is moving me past my point of comfort. It's moving me just outside of my comfort zone, but that's where the magic happens. And I really have to thank you for that because, not everybody can move past that. Not everybody can see this and go, oh my God, that looks so big. And so they just write it off right there. And I was almost at that point this year where I looked at him and I'm like, oh shit, this looks big. And I was like, dang it. But I'm like, no, there's something else going on here. And I love that you give us the space to journey through the previous year. And I've had one hell of a previous year. It's been very challenging in a lot of aspects. However, I more than doubled my business. So okay, that's my son. He just came home from, we're doing an interview.
Oh, that was one of those live things.
No. This is my baby.
Oh.
Yay.
You're adorable and I love you so much already.
Hold on. He can't hear you. Just a minute.
You
Just
are
a
the
second.
cutest person in the world.
Just a
Oh,
minute.
you
Hold
missed
on. It's weird.
This is the left one.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. Yay.
Hello. I love
Hello.
you already. You are the cutest person in the world.
This is Chase. He's my baby. He's my 16-year-old. Oh, he's so
Aw.
sweet. I just love him.
Now I want to have a baby boy.
Oh,
Oh,
they're so much. She's got two girls.
I'm only like 6'1". Look, that's fine.
He's only 6'1". He's not that
Yeah.
small. He says.
so
Oh,
tiny.
you're so sweet. I
Jace,
love
you
you.
are the cutest person in the world. Thank you
Thank you.
for being in the
Aw.
world.
Thank you.
I love you.
That makes my day.
Yay! Oh, sweet. Okay, we're almost done, okay? I love you.
You're so cute.
He just got home from school. Oh, he's so sweet.
How did you get such a sweet 16-year-old boy? That is the cutest in the world.
Thank you. And then I have another one who's 20. He's at college right now.
Shut up, Flora Sage. You do not.
Yes. Okay, so I'll try to stay on task here. But yeah, like I said, using this workbook, it pushes me out of my comfort zone, which I like, but then I don't like because I'm like, damn it, because you feel that resistance, and feeling resistance can kind of suck sometimes,
Totally.
So,
And I'm glad that you stuck with it. Like sometimes, especially somebody who's new to the work, like they order it and like it doesn't. I mean, it happens very, very irregularly. Like we're selling like tens of thousands of books, but occasionally we get an email like somebody opens it and goes, yeah, this is not going to work for me. And I'm like, oh babe, like if you can stick with that resistance and move through it,
yes,
and give it a year and see if it actually does make a difference, then you can be the right judge of that.
Yeah. Well, and the cool part of it is you have us set these stretch goals. And by the end of the year, what do you want to accomplish? And I have heard story after story after story of people writing them down. And I did this my first year. I took it out. I went through the whole thing. I set it down, forgot about it. At the end of the year, I took it out. And I'm like, holy shit, that came true, that came true, that came true. And I was like, who knew, right? I was hooked. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Where's the order button? I'm getting my next one. Seriously. And it was like, and I think one of the reasons why people resist it is because it's not like your regular traditional planner. To me, this is the journey or the way to the planner. Like, like the Franklin Covey planners. That's like starting January 1st, blah, blah, blah. But how do you know what, right? But how do you know what to put in it if you haven't been through that journey to decide even what to put in it? And this gives you that, this gives it to you. This gives you that journey of reflecting on the previous year and then getting really honest with yourself. You get really raw, really honest. What are my numbers? Or what is my level of satisfaction with my body or my life or my spouse or whatever? What is it? And a lot of people have a challenging time getting really raw with themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why if people have resistance like myself, that, why they may choose not to do it. But, once they realize, and like you said, if they just would give it a shot for 1 year, they'd never go back. you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, I use this in tandem with mine, and mine is very much, okay, yearly goal, quarterly, monthly, weekly, let's work. It's all in reverse, but I start here. I start with this to get me really clear about my previous year, not just in the black and white, but with the energetic, because I'm woo-woo just like you. And I need to feel that connection energetically, because my whole life is based on my intuition and how things feel. And this brings me through that emotional and just energetic journey. And my life has not been the same since. It's really given me the permission. I think that's the biggest thing. It's really given me the permission to reflect with gratitude instead of an attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because seriously, you should coin that. That's pretty good. But there's so many times where we look at the previous year resentful or pissed off because so-and-so didn't do this or this didn't happen or whatever. But I like that you really do give us permission to really look back and see, what did we do, what didn't we do, and why, and how can you appreciate what did happen, regardless if we choose to perceive it as good, bad, or indifferent. And I love that. And that's what gives me permission to move forward and to dream big the next year. And then I take what I've written and what I've came up with in this one and put it into my year in reverse and then tackle the ground running. But I still review this every month. I have a reminder on my phone, the first of every month, you know. And that, I think, is the key, is giving yourself permission to just feel that resistance and move through it. And then if you're feeling that resistance, asking yourself, okay, why are you feeling this way? You know?
And that's like such a success strategy as well, because when you are making your goals happen, whether you have a business or just in life, you are going to have moments of resistance and uncomfortableness. Like that actually is like a guaranteed part of the process.
Yes.
And you can stick with it and work out ways to move through it. That's when you reach success. But if you are constantly running from being uncomfortable and running from resistance, then you're not going to be moving through anything and not moving into what it is that you want. And because the joy is this, our goals and our dreams, that process of journeying towards them, it's actually not about like the goal, having the goal at the end. It's actually like who you become.
Yes, that's
in that
huge.
process.
Yeah.
Like this process of like building a $2 million a year company, what it really means for me is I have had to really learn much better communication. I've had many, many, many painful arguments with my husband and my business partner, Grant, where just knocking heads and also getting uncomfortable feedback from them, of them saying, if you want this, then you need to change your direction and you need to change it now.
Yeah.
And it's really having to...
That's my cat. Sorry, she's growling at the dog. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay. There's always an animal that comes up in these. And I'm like, is the totem dog here yet? Is that it?
That's awesome. Okay, I apologize.
It's totally fine. It's usually mine, so I'm so bad. Yes. So, like, you know, it means that I have healed so much of my shit. I have healed so many of my inner ceilings, my inner glass ceilings. I have, I think I am stronger and more humble from this journey. And that's the bomb right there. And also realizing how many more people I could help, and you know, the philanthropy that we can do, and just what it takes for me to keep staying in my power, continue healing my shit, and continue being a living embodiment of the spiritual and life and business and family interwoven. Like that's the joy. So like, who gives a fuck really about $2 million a year? Like nobody gives a fuck really. It's not that exciting. Like my life actually doesn't change. The only way my life changed is I bought a walking
Yay!
Yes.
Oh, I saw that on Facebook. That's awesome.
That's all the way that my life is going to change. And really, it's still not changed that much.
I love it.
But on the inner, everything changes.
Yes. I love that you say that, because a lot of my viewers are entrepreneurs, and a lot of them are spiritual entrepreneurs. And a lot of them feel like, well, I'm doing my spiritual work, so I don't need to do this outer business work, or I don't need to do this outer planning or whatever. And they wonder why they stay stuck. And it's not until they really kind of feel that fear and do it anyway, or feel that resistance, that the magic happens. So I love that you have both the life and the business for people, especially for spiritual entrepreneurs, because I know for myself, that journey that you bring us to really is that spiritual, journey. I love it. Okay, so speaking of having some challenging conversations and whatnot with your team, with Grant, he's a hoot, by the way, I got to tell you. I just love him. He's awesome.
He's the best.
And also with your husband, do you have your team go through the workbook?
Yes, we do. So we actually, it's now just like a process for us.
Right.
And like we've been creating like company plans this will be our 4th year of actually having a printed company plan that everybody has.
Nice.
And it really just follows the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, like the business workbook is actually a copy of the questions that I was using anyway to talk to my team about. So it's sort of like, it's so there.
Uh-huh. How
seamlessly, like it's just part of it. Like I wouldn't dream of doing it any other way. And in fact, when we get to the ends of projects, we do like lessons learned documents and things like that. And it's sort of like gathering a whole lot of data. So we kind of like, okay, so when we did our membership site redesign for the Academy, once we got to the end of that was like a huge experience. And so everybody had to like write in and share from their experience, like the big blessings that they had, the lessons that they've learned, the things they want to do better next year. And everybody writes them up. We put them in a big document, and it means that when we come to the end of the year and we want to create like our big, document and reflect on what worked last year, we've already got it there.
Perfect.
Like it's already there, and everyone's like, remember when these things happened?
That's awesome. So what are some of the surprises that you and your team have experienced by going through the workbooks together?
It makes people get very intimate and honest, and that's the way I like to do business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who kind of join my team are like, wow, I've never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah, no kidding.
But also like, holy shit, this is vulnerable.
Right? Well, and I think that in order to have a successful business, you kind of have to be vulnerable. You kind of have to be willing to say, okay, I'm not so good in this part, but I'm really good at this part. So if I am expected to operate in this part, I might melt down or whatever, and I love that. I love that about you and your team. That's awesome.
I can deal with anybody's, like, as Grant says, like, you're okay with anybody saying, you know what, this is a problem, this is a tape, this is a fear of mine.
Yeah.
Like, but like first and foremost, they have to be honest about it. They can't like ignore the fact that they've got some shit going on. And 2, they need to like say they're actively working on it, and here's how I'm actively working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you can have all of the flaws under the sun as long as you know about them and are working on them. Cool.
Yes.
They're cool. And that we will see change from them. Like, like I'm not going to be nobody's in holding circle, like, so we can endlessly like circle jerk each other off for the next year about healing something. Like, go get it done. Go fix it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I look at personal development. I'm an intense Scorpio. Like, I love transformation, and I don't think there's anything to be scared of. Like, so if there's something that's holding you back, go fix it.
Right.
And if you don't know how to fix it, go find the things that fix it and go do that right now, because it's very, very important to be stuck.
Well, and I love that you say that, because a lot of people think that that they don't have to fix certain things, or they don't even have to admit certain things. But when it's a problem and other people are being affected by it,
Yeah.
it should be addressed. It doesn't have to be fixed, but at least addressed, just to let people know, hey, this is what's going on, and it's affecting the workload, it's affecting your life, and which is huge. And again, bringing it back to the workbook, it's the same thing, is that it really allows you to be raw and honest with yourself and vulnerable in a safe space where it's private. Well, hopefully somewhat private, if who knows who else is reading it. But, and I think a lot of people may not feel comfortable, being publicly vulnerable. And I think, I know this does give you the permission to be vulnerable, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just for an hour or 2 hours or 3. And that's huge. And I have to thank you for that, because, no other workbook does that. And I love that it's printed now, yay, in the printed version, because it just gives you that tangible thing to just hold on to and take with you. And, I brought mine to California, even though I didn't work in it, it was there, and I could feel the energy of what I've already done. And it was, like for me, February is my planning time. And I thought, if we have downtime, then I'll put it in there. But just having it there, it felt good, because this weekend for me and my business was a big transformational step for me. So I wanted to bring that. I wanted to have that energy there to remind me that sometimes it's going to get uncomfortable, but that's perfect. It's exactly what I need to feel in order to move forward. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
And here's the thing too, is like, you don't have to start like with vulnerability. Like, even though like I'm like quite vulnerable in lots of ways, like that's definitely been a journey for me. Like, if you met me like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, like vulnerable is not a descriptive word that you would ever assign to me. Like, fuck you, no, I have all of my shit together, everything is great and everything is perfect. And it's, like, here's the thing, like, I've had some like really hard years with the illnesses and postnatal depression and anxiety and family problems. But each one of those challenges brought me such immense soul lessons. It taught me how to say exactly where I was. It taught me as Brene says, the power of vulnerability. And I had to start speaking the truth, because I didn't have any other option.
Nice.
And that's like, and so I'm grateful for the times when I think so much of us, when we have a difficult year, we're like, fuck 2012, like, fuck you very much. I'm going to like leave you in the dust and never think of you again.
Yes. Sometimes that's exactly what it's like. You're like, oh, good riddance.
I will never think of you again, asshole.
Right?
It's like leaving like a bad boyfriend, and like, but refusing to look at any like blessings or challenges or like any of the lessons from that period. And so it's actually really important, because every year in our life, whether it's joyful, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's completely shitholery, it actually still brings lessons. And you don't want to, like, we each get a year, and in that year we grow and we change and we learn as humans, and you don't want to ever discard the jewels from that. And so that's why I like the workbooks, because even when it forces me to go, like, because there's some years where I'm like, fuck you so bad, I have to like go through and start writing, okay, this is really what happened. This is how hard it was, and actually have like a bit of mini therapy time and a bit of self-therapy. Like, wow, that was so hard. That was so excruciatingly painful. I'm so sorry that I went through that. And then it's, you have to talk about what you're grateful for. So for example, when I had my horrific illness, I was so grateful that my business kept supporting us even when I was in hospital. I was so grateful that my husband just he gave up university studies, he gave up anything, and just became basically a single dad and a full-time carer of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I still tear up when I think about his devotion during that time. And I already, even like, you know, that by that next year, I'd realized, wow, I actually started learning what empathy was. I started realizing what it was like for other people to go through chronic illnesses, because I didn't have any experience of that.
Mm-hmm.
It made me much, much more humble. And it also gave me this incredible joy. Like the fact that I wasn't sick anymore, I was just like living the dream.
Yay! I
So
love it.
I don't want to ever discard an experience, even though it was painful, because there are some big old gems in there. So I like to say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, yeah, the bathwater is really, really shitty. Like, I get it. There's a lot of poop in there.
Yep.
Cool, get it. But don't throw out the jewels of that experience and how it crafted you and the wonderful things. I know it's very difficult for us to talk about the wonderful things of bad things,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to kind of have a more holistic perspective of life. So, and this can be very confronting for people. So my brother died in an accident when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I am and this can be very confronting when I say this, I'm so grateful that he lived. And I'm also so grateful that he died, because his death taught me an immensely wonderful amount of things. And I don't see that my relationship with him has ended at all.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've missed him on the physical plane, and, you know, had a huge grief journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, but goodness gracious, like the miracles that came from that time as well, and just how much I understand life more now, and how much I understand love and communication and love beyond the walls of death, all those things. Like, I would not be the same person if my brother hadn't died. And I'm very grateful for that. And I know that can be very confronting, but that's the kind of, it's taken many, many years, obviously, to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's where it is.
Well, that's really cool. Not cool that your brother died, but cool that you bring this up, because my mom passed away when I was 12. And I'm very grateful for it, because it taught me some of the biggest lessons in my life. And then a couple of years ago, my father died, and that catapulted me into not putting up with any bullshit, not putting up with less than. And your workbook actually, so it's kind of funny. So after my father passed away, I moved from Oklahoma up here to Wisconsin, and had some really challenging issues that I needed to deal with. I moved away after high school. I basically ran away from my life. And so moving back here after 20 years, I felt so foreign, but I knew I needed to go through and confront all the bullshit in my life, everything that I'd been running away from. And in 2014, I cut off certain people in my life that were very toxic, very confrontational. And because it was so toxic and so like, I honored the lesson, but then I pushed it away and I tried to forget about it. And when I worked my workbook last year, I wrote that down as something that I accomplished and something that I was grateful for. But I really had to sit there and think about how the death of my father allowed me to heal on such a deep level. It was huge. So I absolutely get what you're saying about having a death and having these really hard situations help to just transform you to a whole nother person, where you're not even the same person that you were before. So thank you for that. Thank you.
And bless you, and in honoring and love of your parents. Like, bless you for being the soul that you are, and allowing those experiences just to deepen you and open you even more to light and love. And I just, like, your parents love you so much.
Oh, I know. I feel them every day. They're my greatest teachers, let me tell you. Okay, so, I feel like we could go on for days, but, so what do you feel if someone is hesitant to journey through your workbooks? Because that, in my opinion, that's what it is. It's a journey. If someone is hesitant to purchase or work through your workbooks, what's one thing that you would have to say to them?
So some handy tips to help you move to the other side. First, join the Workbookers group. So there's 10,000 Workbookers on Facebook. If you just go 2016, create your shining year Workbookers. Mm-hmm. There's 10,000 of them, and I just I go in there and I get it. I am the owner of the group, and I created these books, but I need that group too. I love it. I get to go there and look at what everybody else is doing and what goals they're accomplishing and how beautiful they're making their workbooks and how creative they're being. It is inspiration fest. It just makes me so excited to see all these incredible souls.
Well, and it's a really active group. I mean, it's not, there's so never a dull moment. Oh my God, never a dull moment in that group.
It's amazing. They're just the coolest chicks on earth. And so I think there's a real kind of momentum in there, which totally backs up the research, that says you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. So make them good ones. You need to have a mastermind. You need to have a bunch of women who are going the same direction as you, because it can be truly, truly transformational for that to be your new normal, to be surrounded by positive, creative, goal-getting women. It's the coolest.
Yeah.
2, I would recommend setting a deadline to finish your workbooks by.
Yes.
I always kind of set goals, and I actually get publicly accountable. I'm okay, I'm going to have my goals, my workbook finished by this date, because otherwise it can just kind of fall by the wayside and not get completely filled out and things like that. So I set a goal and I stick to that goal. And it builds, the more that you set goals, set deadlines, and then stick to it and actually make it happen, the more momentum you get. And so people now say to me, how the fuck do you do all the things that you do? And I'm I don't know, it doesn't seem that much more effort, because the more you do, the more momentum you have, and the easier it gets to make goals happen. I don't know, last year I wrote and illustrated 3 books and 2 products, which is usually one book. It's enough for usually any author or illustrator, and I wrote them and illustrated them.
Awesome.
And then I did a memberships, we redesigned the membership site, and then we created
beautiful, by the way. Beautiful. Yeah.
We created, I think, 12 new courses for the Academy as well. And I mean, we'll double that. We'll do another 24. So we'll have I think 130 courses in the Academy by the end of the year at the very least, but probably more. Mm-hmm. I did academies. I did events. I did, I was a keynote speaker. Mm-hmm. I was Mompreneur of the Year finalist. I was Australian Businesswoman of the Year finalist. It was just I look back and go, wow, that was a really big year. But I still only work part-time.
Yes.
I still have my boundaries fully in place. It's just the more that you get used to this process of birthing dreams, the easier it becomes in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get very used to the journey, and you become stronger and more creative, and it's easy. It's like breathing.
Well, one of the things also that I have to interject here is that by going through the planner and writing down what you want to do, it unconsciously or subconsciously puts all that in motion. So you can do more with less effort. You can do more without even thinking about it. And the things that you're meant to do, they happen. They really happen. And then what happens is when all those fun things happen, more fun things happen, so you get even more stuff done. And also, for those of us who are doing this work, it fuels us. It's not sometimes it's draining, but that's usually when you just had long hours and just a lot of mental stuff, you know. But it's so fueling, and I love that you said that you are who you hang out with, and that it's so important to have a mastermind, because that's one of the things too, is I did not see the exponential growth until I joined a mastermind. You know, and being a six-figure entrepreneur, you have to have support. And I wasn't a six-figure entrepreneur until I joined a mastermind. You know, and that's something that's huge. And it all started with these workbooks. I mean, seriously, since I started your workbooks 4 years ago, my business has more than doubled every single year.
That's awesome. Well done. Well done. That is huge. And that's the thing, like, that's why, like, I always say to people, it's actually not that hard to double your business.
No.
Especially, like, in the early stages. Like, now that, like, when we double, like, you have to add an extra $1 million on it. It's sort of like, oh, it's actually, like, a little bit more scaling to do. But that's fine. It's still, you know, it's still doable. But the most important bit is, because here's the thing, like, most business owners don't get strategic about their businesses. They just work in their businesses. And so these workbooks are designed for you to, like, step back and actually be the business owner, be the entrepreneur of your company, and look ahead and actually do that planning. Because I can promise you, there's just the vast majority of business owners out there are doing a pretty shitty job of being a business owner, and that's why businesses are failing.
Well, yeah, and they're working in their business, not on their business. And this is working on your business. It's really getting, like you said, strategic about it.
Yes.
Love that.
Because if you're just working in your business is either going to stay the same or it's going to fail.
Yes. Thank you for that.
You need to be like, take the oversight and actually get strategic and make better decisions for your business. And that's how it grows. So it's actually relatively, like, yes, not easy, but it's like, I can tell you the very, very simple practice of you growing your business: get the fucking workbooks and do them.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, and
they're very cheap.
Yes.
As cheap as possible. Like,
well, and the same thing with your life, though, too, is that a lot of people, they're just in that hamster wheel, and they're going, and they're going, and they're going. And because they don't look strategically at their life, they don't look at what they really want in life. They're just, well, this is what I'm doing, and I'm miserable, but I'm just going to stay put. And that's the same thing. If you don't like where you're at, change it. But so many people are just uncomfortably comfortable that they just stay in that, you know, state, you know, being uncomfortably comfortable, or being, you know, I guess comfortable with the uncomfort or discomfort of their life, and they're not uncomfortable enough to make the change.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really fucking boring. Like, I promise you,
it's
really super boring. I promise you, like, doing this instead is like 100% more fun and 100% more fulfilling, and like you have a better life waiting for you. It's just it's waiting for you to, like,
oh God, yes,
start doing the right things.
Yep. And it's not that hard. It's not.
It's not fun. Get a damn workbook. Surround yourself with good people. Start putting your goals into action.
Mind blown.
People always say to me, like, oh, how do I, like, they ask questions like, how do I find new friends? And I'm like, I don't know, go out and find new friends. Like, it's so simple. Like, stop bitching about the fact you don't have friends and go out and make them. Like, nothing in my life has happened to me by accident.
Yeah,
I've gone
no kidding.
and I've run down every single one of those. Like, if I want to make friends, like, and I'm an introvert, like, and I am quite, I feel awkward in social situations, as I think most people do. Like, I'm not like an effortless swan through the lake. I'm all like, hey, you look cool. Do you want to hang out sometime? And of course it is like asking a boy on a date. And guess what? I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it because it makes friends. And I think everybody is waiting to be asked to dance.
Yes. Well, and the cool part about the fabulous community that you've created is, and because it's so big, chances are, if you join the academy, if somebody joins the academy who's watching, or if they get their workbook and go onto that Facebook page and say, hey, who here's from Wisconsin or from Nebraska or from the Netherlands, wherever, chances are there's probably going to be 1,000 people going, oh, I am, blah, blah, blah. And there's probably somebody right around the block that's doing the same thing.
It's true.
Yeah, you instantly have something to connect with. And then, hey, have you done your workbook yet? No, I just started. Cool, me too. Let's get together. Okay, cool. You know, so they meet for coffee, hang out, instant friend, you know. And it's one of those things that you really do have to just get out there. And
It's so
yeah, and these workbooks and what you have to offer gives people the safe place to do that. So with that said, tell all of our viewers how they can find out more about you and your work and where you're at in the interwebs.
Ooh. I am everywhere.
Yes.
You can find me at leoniedawson.com, LeonieDawson. Or if you go to shiningyear.com, you can see the workbooks, or shiningacademy.com. And then I'm on the Facebook. We've got over 100,000 people liking me on the Facebook. And I wish that we could all just like go build like a little commune city and just hang together. That would be the funnest ever. I'm on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the Twitters, on the YouTube, on the everything. I am everywhere.
Nice,
I am omniscient.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. So do you have anything else that you want to share with everybody?
Just like if you come and hang out at leoniedawson.com, I give away a lot of stuff. You know, it's my joy to create, and I want to help people as much as possible. We have webinars all the time. Get on the mailing list, because then I can just send you free shit constantly. I am not like I'm not a massively like salesy kind of person in a way, because I've only got two things to sell. I got my workbooks, which get sold twice a year. I got my academy, which is open. It's just open all the time. And basically my whole thing is, let me create the best products and over deliver completely. Let me do it at a more affordable price than anybody else and create an amazing community around it. So the workbooks, when I went and looked at other like products that were out there, they were twice the price and half the quality of what we're producing. You know, like ours are full color, very, very lush. And you get like free e-courses with it to help you like go through your goals.
Yes.
And we, you know, like there's a free workbook group guide. So if you want to create a local group, there's actually like, it gives you the run sheet of how to do that and how to find the people, all those kinds of things. We're always wanting to over deliver for our customers and just make it the most incredible, delightful experience ever. And then with the academy, you know, what we do is the Shining Biz and Life Academy. Instead of me like creating products and then selling each one, instead you can sign up as a member for under $500 a year, and you get access to everything I've ever created. So like over 100 courses now. There's nobody else really that's doing that in this kind of space. And we have plans to put even more. So there's like, we're even doing like live events. So we're doing a 2-day conference in Canberra. People just pay basically for their meals. And we just make it as incredibly affordable and like amazing experience possible, because I don't feel like charging people $10,000, $20,000 a year or whatever for this stuff. I just want to make it as available to everyone wherever they are as possible, and over deliver and do it a zillion times better than anybody else, so that whenever anybody thinks about my work, they just go, wow, that's fucking cool.
Well, and your work sells itself. So you don't have to be salesy, and because it sells itself. I mean, and you look at it, you look at the testimonials, you go onto the Facebook, and you read all the interaction with people, and that sells it, because it's the results. That's just it. You do the workbook, you get results. And you don't want results, then you probably shouldn't be doing any workbook from anybody. But and that's what I love, is it sells itself. You know.
That's the end game.
Yeah, and that's why I get so excited every year whenever it's time to launch it. I'm like, yes, here you go. And everybody's like, woo. And they pounce on it. Seriously. I mean, it's just like a plate of cookies at like a little kindergarten place. It's like, boom. And then it's like, empty plate. Shit, let's refill this. Well, and a lot of your stuff sells out fast because it's so valuable. I mean, to those of us who use it, it's so valuable. It's priceless, really. And I know that sounded kind of cheesy, but it's true.
I understand, because man, like I don't want to be without mine. Like I even joke because it costs like us like 200 grand a year to print the workbooks, and I'm like, man, it's worth it just to like for one workbook for me, 200 grand. Like I paid $200,000 for this book.
Sounds like a great investment.
It's worth it, man. $2 million a year company. I wouldn't have it if I didn't have my damn workbook.
Yeah. Well, and it's so amazing, like I said, watching you blossom and grow and do the things that you've been doing the past several years and seeing how real you keep it. And I so appreciate that. I'm the same way with my tribe. I let it all hang out. And sometimes it makes people really freaking uncomfortable. I was in the Marine Corps, so a lot of the times every other word is the F-bomb. So, but if I'm guided to drop an F-bomb, I do. But I mean, I love that there's so many of us out there. Well, there's not so many, but I think the more of us that are out there doing this, the more there will be. And our tribe is growing and growing and growing each and every year. So I will continue to buy your whole package, not just one or the other. I buy the whole shebang, baby. I buy the whole thing, and I will continue to buy them every single year, and I will continue to support you because your work, it brings us, all of us, through a journey of self-discovery and aha moments and gratitude that no other workbook and no other product out there can do. So thank you for that, and thank you so much for your time today. Yay!
Right. Thank you so much. That's the nice. I love hearing things.
Oh, I love you. Okay, so have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your evening. And for those of you who are watching this Ask Flora segment, thank you so much for sticking with us for this whole hour. It's been such a pleasure and such an honor. And if you have a question for this Ask Flora segment, please email me, flora@florasage.com, and I would be more than happy to answer your question here on this Ask Flora segment. Mwah. Bye-bye. How would you like to get access to my arsenal of personal development classes? Hi, I'm Flora Sage from the FloraSageTherapiesInstitute.com, and I want to personally invite you to become a member of the Flora Sage Therapies Institute. This is a place where I've created a hub for my clients, my customers, and my students so that they can get all access all the time, 24/7. How would you like to get access to over 15 personal development classes? My Shift Your Money Mindset 4-module program, my Fearlessly Inspired 12-week program, all of my meditation albums, all of my affirmation albums, 5 live monthly calls, including my What's Up Wednesday calls, and a live group coaching and reading call, as well as over 170 archived What's Up Wednesday calls. What's the What's Up Wednesday call? The What's Up Wednesday call is a 60-minute live call that we do every single Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Central Time that's recorded. It's a spirit-led call where we look at the hot topics of the week and then end the call with a weekly challenge. How can you get access to all of this? By getting your all-access pass to the Flora Sage Therapies Institute Inner Circle. Click the link below to learn how you can get your all-access pass.